Yes, once we have you trapped in your seats, they force me to sing at you. So, yes, I'm Amy Adams. I'm most commonly known around Bakersfield as the girl from American Idol. And it's very interesting. I was on American Idol when I was 24 years old. If you can tell by my grown-up lady outfit, I am no longer 24 years old. So it's so very wonderful, I have to be honest. American Idol changed my life every single day. And what American Idol did, and really what I wanted to talk about today, was the reality of reality TV and the non-reality of reality TV. So we have the platform and actually what it sets up for you and what you're able to accomplish and what you're able to do. I can give some examples. When we were on tour, I made it to the top 10 of the American Idol, and when we were on tour, there was 10 of us, and we had to go across the border to Canada. And the girl that got 9th place, and I'm not going to say any names, but a girl that got 9th place chose to stay in the United States because she couldn't bring her drugs with her to Canada. And all of the rest of us said, okay, well, we're going. So it was one of those things that you can have this melting pot of people who are on that same journey as you are. They are aspiring to achieve greatness, and it's one of those things where then you can have those focused individuals. I was more methodical. I had auditioned for American Idol the previous year, season 2, and the executive producers told me some of the sweetest things that they could have ever told me. They told me that I was a pretty girl with a pretty voice, but there was nothing special about me. And I remember standing there and thinking, there is nothing special about me. And if there is something special about you, we can't see it. And I thought, oh, okay, great. Thank you very much. And I took my sweet little self and I drove back to Bakersfield. And it was wonderful because as those words began to fuel my next mission, my next stage, they were truly words that would change my life. And so I did go out season 2, like it was a very fancy job interview. And like I said, I'm a very much, a grown-up lady today, these days, walking around, and it's so interesting what life can do to you and what life can do for you when someone tells you the reality that they see. And they're the ones who make the decisions. So I was fine listening to them. What I did was I became so focused on what my next move was. I became so methodical on what I would do next to become this special version to somebody else. But what I did was I turned in and I thought, what makes me exceptional, extraordinary, different? And most of the time, it was my fun personality. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to be on full blast when I go. So I dyed my hair pink, and I read every single book that was ever written by the celebrity judges. So I read Simon Cowell's book. I read Randy Jackson's book. It was not as exciting as Simon's. I read Paula Abdul's book. So it's so interesting reading all of these things, but they actually kind of give you so much insight and undercurrent into what's real, what's relevant, and what's necessary to success. What I've done over time was create an understanding of these 4 pillars of success. One of those things that I did, that number one thing, was really finding what my gifts were. How was I going to excel? Then I was going to find what my challenges were. What are my challenges? And really face those and really put them right in front of me. Put that mirror in front of me that says, okay, you're great at this, but you're absolutely terrible at this. And I loved to take on what I was absolutely terrible at. I was so uncomfortable being uncomfortable. And so I began to be more uncomfortable as much as I could, as often as I could. Even now, as a coach, as a mentor, as people working with kids, I insist that my children are constantly uncomfortable. Our entire life, we will say, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. That's, ooh, isn't that hard? 98% of people will stay in their current circumstance for fear of lack of options. Not me. So if I'm going to be a 1%er or 2%er somehow, it's going to be by risk-taking. And I like that. So it was one of those things that was imperative for me. Another thing that was imperative for me after American Idol, there's this kind of fast fame that you get, this understanding that you have this platform. If you utilize this platform and you use the power for good, it will propel you in the right direction. I used it for good. I booked a TV show I had signed a record deal, and then I got pregnant. And I opted to have my baby instead of my career. The label dropped me, the show dropped me, and I knew they would. My manager told me before I had my baby, before I made the choice to have my baby, they let me know. Just so you know, keep this in mind. Thank you. So my son, now 12 years old, never a regret, never one day of a regret. It is one of those things, those journeys, those adventures that you go on that you're forced to learn something from and do something fantastic with. I got a call. I didn't know what my next job was. I got a call when I was sitting on my couch at home, and it was from Andrew Lloyd Webber's company, Rug Productions, and they asked if I'd be willing to star in the national tour of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I thought it was a joke. They told me, no, it's not a joke. We worked with a producer that worked on American Idol and who was Andrew Lloyd Webber's right-hand man, and he recommended you. He actually recommended Jodie Benson, but she passed. So Jodie Benson is the voice of the Little Mermaid, whoever that is. Just kidding. I love her. She's wonderful. But I learned a lot then. I signed a 2-year contract to do the 2005-2006 tour. And then about 9 months into the tour, I vocal hemorrhaged. So I was singing, and in San Antonio, Texas, blood popped through my vocal cords. And I was unable to hit the notes that my brain said I should be hitting. So in the middle of the show, my understudy took over, and I was forced to be on vocal rest for 2 years. So in that process was the time when I was unable to work, and it was imperative that I learned my lesson the slow and hard way. That was the hardest, because I had only counted on being a professional performer, especially with all the things that you had been through with American Idol. I had tabloids saying, you know, she's a man baby, but it's just to get headlines. Oh, one time Amy Adams played a man in a show, and it's like, if no one reads the rest of that, it's so much more that you can think about. You know, not that being a man and a woman at the same time is bad. Hash brown, no judgment. Okay, so it's one of those things, at that time I was forced to learn my lesson, and that lesson slowed me down, and I thought to myself, what can I do? How can I give back? And so I stopped and I said, okay, I'm going to take my dreams and live vicariously through small children with the same dreams that I had. And that's exactly what I did. So I partnered with Karen Go, who is currently our mayor, and also the president and CEO of Garden Pathways. And we wanted to reach a demographic that was an underprivileged demographic. And that was 9 years ago. And that was something that was near and dear to my heart, something that we have continued for the past 9 years. So we will be going into a decade of success. And what we do is we hold summer camps for kids and we change their lives. But we mentor, so it's changing and growing from the inside out. It was imperative. And that's when I knew that that was my message. That was my journey. I was stopped, I was sidelined for a reason. That my talent and how I utilized it was only a medium. And that was it. And so I'm using it as such. I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to have, still go back and still do wonderful things. When I got vocal clearance in 2011, actually, after my official surgery, when I got vocal clearance, May 2011, June 2011, I had my first audition for Le Rêve, The Dream, the show at Wynn Las Vegas. And I just stopped my last year at Le Rêve this past year. And I served almost 6 years there, and I not like it was the armed forces by any means, but it was a Cirque du Soleil show, and it was a beautiful show. The evolution of the show was changed by Steve Wynn. He owns it, obviously. But it is one of those things that allowed me to still become relevant, stay relevant, and still be in my kid's life and make a difference. What I'm doing now is really taking every single person that I work with to that next level of understanding. I'm going to read some of the words. If you continuously compete with others, you become bitter. But if you continuously compete with yourself, you become better. That for me was something so imperative to my growth and my success. There's no need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people get inspired by how you deal with your imperfections. And that, I think, is the truth of what we're able to do. That's that third pillar of becoming that inspiration, the understanding of what your true gift is, what your medium is, and using it to your advantage. Before I go into my song, I want to use one of the quotes. This quote is by Be Divine. To all the girls who no longer believe in fairy tales or happy endings, you are the writer of this story. Chin up and straighten your crown. You are the queen of this kingdom, and only you know how to rule it. For me, this was telling, and still, I am asked often, why aren't you doing something more with your life? How come you're not on Broadway? How come you're not going back and just going on the road again? And for me, something more with my life is here in this community. It's what constantly feeds me. It's what constantly keeps me satiated. So someone else's version of my success and my happiness is their truth. And I live my truth every single day. I'm going to sing to you one of my all-time favorite songs. Life is just a bowl of cherries. Just a bowl of cherries. Don't take it serious. Life's too mysterious. You work, you save, you worry so, but you can't take the dough when you go. So the